All right, buddy. So, what's your name and where are you from for the people that might not already know?
My name is Michael Galloway, and I am from Houston, Texas.
Houston, Texas, man. We already had one episode with you on the channel that's going on about 150,000 views, man. How do you feel about that? I mean, did you expect to get that many views over here?
Man, that's crazy. I definitely didn't expect that. Just being able to, talk about experiences that, I had in prison, what wound me up there. That's so, that it's definitely revelational, man.
Look, give the people, if you don't mind, because for individuals that already seen his and heard a little bit about his story, it's kind of a sensitive one and a sad one at the same time. Can you kind of give a little intel on why you went to prison, man?
Yeah, man, I could definitely do that. Just a little smidget.
Yeah, just a little recap.
Yeah, yeah. So again, my name is Michael Galloway. I'm from Houston, Texas. A little bit about me. I was raised in the criminal justice system, so I entered the criminal justice system at 12 years old. Both my parents were in and out of the prison and out of the streets, which led me to a life of crime. Um, and back in 2011, I caught my last charge, which wound me up at 8 years in prison, where I accidentally killed one of my best friends. And
Yeah,
that's something I got to live with each and every day. I had to do day for day on that sentence, and I discharged that sentence back in 2019, so right before the pandemic. And I've been out for 6 years now, and
congratulations.
definitely, yeah, definitely, it's been a roller coaster and it doesn't even feel like that long.
Yeah.
So.
You're not forgetting all those nightmares from in there, though, are you?
No, I definitely always remember
Yeah.
the and value freedom above all,
Yeah.
and but I can definitely keep in mind the experiences and the memories of going through prison because, previously I used to work inside of the prison. So after doing 8 years in prison, I went working inside the prison for 10 hours a day as a free person,
How was
going out the
that,
door.
man?
Oh my goodness. I felt like I could never truly leave the penitentiary mindset because I'm always having to be conscientious of prison politics, of the gang life, of what the guards got going on, everything. Like my mind was always like on that penitentiary time. So when I
That's
finally
like a
left that,
different version of institutionalized, man. You get out and still come right back working
yeah,
now.
and I was eating the chow. I ate in the chow every
Oh,
day.
no, 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 no,
No, no, I'm
no.
serious. Like, but
I
they
probably
have
would
a
have too,
free.
honestly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's free food,
Yeah,
and
for sure.
like the officers
They
eat
get different meals.
a hell of a
Yeah,
lot better. So
yeah,
I'm going up in there because that was something I always wanted when I was in prison. So I was like,
yeah.
oh yeah, I'm
Ah,
gonna chow
that's
down. So
wild, man. I can't even imagine that. But
yeah,
I've heard so many stories on here, man. And it's just like a dang novel. Everybody's. It's just unbelievable the twists and turns in a person's life. But yeah, you done 8 years, and look, there's something you said that I kind of lose track of when it comes down to different states and prisons. Well, mainly states is the good time. You said you did day for day. Is that a time? No good time meaning day for day,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Is
There's no
that how it
parole.
is
I
for
didn't.
everyone, or is it just violent offenders, or what?
So how Texas prisons works is if you have an aggravated charge, which is like an aggravated crime, like aggravated robbery, aggravated assault, murder, manslaughter, anything of that nature, anything of a super violent nature, they make you do half your time before you even think about going home. So before you see parole and before they potentially grant you parole, you have to do half of it.
4 years flat. So for you, it was
Yeah,
4 years flat.
it was 4 years flat. And
Yeah.
then, of course, if there's a case where you have a victim, um, they're always going to inform the victim or the victim's family about you potentially being released. And so that's their chance to protest.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times, especially in Texas prisons, they end up denying parole.
Yeah.
A lot of times, especially if somebody lost their life, like you're going to do a good amount of that time.
Yeah. And you said it was accidental. So they labeled you pretty much as someone that does violent crimes that isn't accidental, right? They threw you in the mix with the
Absolutely.
wolves.
because
Yeah.
of my past history and my behaviors out in the streets and everything, prior to that
Yeah.
is what led them to say, hey, the only time you do good is when you're incarcerated.
Yeah.
So, this is what we're giving you.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm kind of doing a recap on the whole prison life because we're going to be talking about a little bit of a popular topic right now, the Carmelo Anthony case. I know you said you've been following this, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
I'm gonna ask you some, some important questions I believe that need to be asked from someone that's done a lot of time in the Texas Department of Corrections, man. Well, first off, about Texas, they still got no AC in there.
You better believe it.
I
You
heard they're
better
about to
believe it.
crank out some this year, man.
Yeah.
You hear about
Yeah, but
that?
it's on a case by case basis. And
Prison by prison or whatever.
although they have AC on some units, previously they are able to protest, and you got your writ writers, your jailhouse lawyers that
Yeah,
love to, make any type of plea or writ against the state to get AC or anything really.
yeah,
And if they all get together and petition, that's how they would get AC on a unit, because they
yeah,
got to have cool beds for individuals that may be potential to have heat stroke and stuff
mm-hmm,
like that. And
yeah,
there's some big time advocates out here, that are former ex felons out of TDCJ that are doing it on the outside to get
yeah.
that. But for the most part, absolutely not. And shout out to Marcy and the Lioness, because they're advocating for that on a day-to-day basis.
Hey, shout out to y'all, man. And I haven't been as far. I didn't do my time down as far south as Texas, but in Virginia, they didn't give us no AC either, and it was killer. So look, that's why I bring it up because if you're to ask me, every damn prison needs an AC unit, man. That is just straight, almost torture, man.
I agree.
I'll never forget it, and I can only imagine. I remember this past summer reading all the articles about the heat issues out in Texas, not to mention some other stuff. They're all over the tabloids prison system out there. But you've been out 6 years, man. 6 years. After doing an 8 clip straight day for day. I mean, how does it feel now? 6 years later, you got anything going on good?
Absolutely. I definitely got a lot going on in my life,
Yeah.
so, married now,
Yeah.
all of my kids, we're six deep over here. I got
Oh
six kids.
my.
My business, I still have the flow of the clientele,
Uh-huh.
but I did change professions as opposed to my career, in regards to my career. So
Uh-huh.
previously for 5 years, I was in prison reentry. So I was working with inmates that were getting ready to be released, taking them through an entrepreneurship program, how to public speak and everything to help them once they get out, and helping them along their walk so that way they never go back to prison.
Mm-hmm.
But now, from a year ago to this day almost, I decided to get into more of the preventive side. So the opportunity arose for me to join an organization that has a mentoring program called Credible Messengers. It's a hot topic out
Mm-hmm.
there right now. And that's basically transformative mentoring, utilizing people that have been in the system, that have lived experience, whether on the streets, whether their family was impacted by the system, and they have transformed their lives, and now are at a position where they want to stop other kids from entering the criminal justice system.
Mm.
So that's where that credible messenger part comes into
Yeah, it
play.
sounds like my kind of field, man. I need to dive up in
Yeah,
there. What
you
was
would
that
be great
again?
at
What
it.
was it called again?
It's called credible messengers.
Credible
It's a hot topic,
messengers.
even out there in
Yeah, I
Virginia.
need to look it up,
Uh,
man. I need to look it up. I haven't heard of it. I need to look it up. That's awesome
Florida.
that you're sticking into the, leading people in the right path, man. There ain't too many people out there doing. Well, there is. You just don't get to see them too much, right? They don't really
Yeah,
get the
it's
exposure
not
that they
talked
need.
about.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's not
unfortunately.
talked about, brother.
Yeah, the hype with the good train ain't too hype. There's still situations happening out there. Like you said, you've been following the Carmelo Anthony case, man, and I'm really wondering some questions, and I'm sure a lot of other people are about, possible situations that could be coming his way, man.
For sure. For
First,
sure.
well, right off the break, man, do you have anything to say just about the initial situation and how everything took place?
Man, I'm gonna be completely transparent.
That's it, man. That's all I like.
I honestly feel like people are turning it into a race bait, a racial issue,
Uh huh.
and when it's really not,
Yeah.
and so I hate that any kid has to lose their life, or any youth jeopardizes their freedom especially over a misunderstanding. And following the case, it just looks like two kids that were plexed up about a situation that could have been handled a various amount of ways a lot better. But in the heat of a moment, a kid lost his life. I mean, they're high school kids.
Yeah.
These are rival schools. They're at, a school function. So automatically there's always going to be that that friction. I even grew up. I'm sure any kid, especially a male, understands that. Like, hey, if I'm versus this school and we're at a function, of course, what's going to typically happen if we
Yeah.
get in front of each other's faces? We're going to
Yeah.
get into it.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, there's so many specifics inside of the situation. What was he doing under a rival's tent? Like, was it raining? Was um, should he have left? Uh, how he went into his bag and grabbed the knife and stabbed the kid in the chest,
Yeah.
um, and did he feel threatened? And I've been hearing a lot of chatter on, him being tried as an adult now for first degree murder. And um, there was talk about, you know, his lawyer, his defender pretty much said, like he wasn't going to take him, he wasn't going to take a plea deal.
Mm-hmm.
And he wanted to try to use the stand your ground clause in Texas. And
Yeah.
I hear a lot of people from Texas that are talking about this, but they
Mm-hmm.
really don't understand like what they're talking about.
That was gonna be my next question. Do you think he has any possible chance of self-defense
Um,
or stand your ground of any kind?
the stand your ground, on my personal opinion, after listening to the evidence that's being laid out and how it'll pan out in court, I do not think so. Like my personal opinion is he's gonna end up being convicted.
Yeah.
Somebody lost their life. At the
Yeah.
end of the day, everybody has to be held accountable.
Yeah.
You know, even in my charge, right? Somebody lost their life, and somebody has to be held accountable to that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's a mistake, and I know that he regrets it. I'm ultimately positive that Carmelo deep down regrets that.
Yeah, me too, probably, man.
Yeah,
If I were to bet it all. What do you think would be best for him, a jury or a bench trial?
I would definitely recommend a jury trial. And his if he wants to have a fighting chance, definitely get a jury trial because again, you get to pick half of that jury.
Yeah. Did you have one when you went to court or what?
So I was about to go to trial for mine, um, but they came at me with a deal that I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Initially, I was charged with criminal negligence homicide, which is a state jail felony.
Mm-hmm.
Well, before the 90-day mark, before I was, given papers about what I was going to be charged with, um, they changed it to second degree manslaughter. And so I knew the paragraph of what criminal negligence homicide defines
Mm-hmm.
and what manslaughter defines. And what I did was not manslaughter. So I was going to take it to trial, not to say that I didn't do anything, but
Yeah.
to change the charge.
Yeah.
And so I was like, no, I'm going to take it to trial because I didn't commit manslaughter.
Yeah.
And deep down, I know that the district attorney knew that because when it came to the point where I had to pick my jury, on the day I picked my jury, they said, hey, look, we'll give you back criminal negligence homicide, but it's not going to be a third degree. Well, it's not going to be a state jail felony. We'll make it a third degree felony.
Mm-hmm.
So automatically, that's a great deal for me. They're going to give me back my original charge that I believe that I was guilty of, and just change the sentencing, um, the amount of maximum sentence I could get. I was okay with that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
And
that
at the end
sounds
of the
about right.
Yeah, and then again, it was an open plea. So they said if I open plead to it, which means I'm going to plead guilty to it, and I'm going to take whatever sentence the judge gives me after hearing all of the evidence and all of the testimonies. And after that, with an open plea, you can still appeal it.
Yeah.
So I still had a window. If I didn't like my sentence, I could appeal it.
Yeah.
So I said, you know what? Let's roll the dice.
Yeah.
I can take that. So no matter what, I'll get the crime that I wanted, on that I feel like I was guilty of.
Yeah.
Even in so even with Carmelo, like
Yeah.
they charged him as an adult, which
Uh-huh.
that was gonna happen no matter what. I don't know why somebody wouldn't think that he'd be charged as an adult if he was 17 in
Yeah.
Texas.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been a surprise had he been like 15,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
14, but it's not a surprise to us in Texas, especially those that have been in the criminal justice system, that he was going to be tried as an adult.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what's going to be the determining factor is he going to try to take it to trial to take it completely off of his record where he won't get any type of conviction, or is he
Drop
going to
it.
try to take it to trial because of the charge that he's being convicted of, well, that he's being charged with? So from
Yeah.
first degree murder, second degree murder, or manslaughter.
Yeah. Where would someone of that, I guess you could say, popularity go in Texas? Would he go to a special unit, maybe? Special prison?
So let's think, we're going to go in this scenario.
All
Let's
right.
say that he's charged with first degree murder.
Uh-huh.
And with the popularity of the
The
crime,
worst case
um,
scenario, first degree
yeah,
murder.
first degree murder. Let's just say that they give him, and this is what I predict, right? I'm already predicting this in the first place. I'm predicting that he'll get first degree murder, and they give him 15 years or 20. It's 15 or 20. That's what I'm thinking. The best case scenario on a first degree murder is you get 5 years.
Yeah.
And that was another thing I heard just the other day. People keep talking like, oh, if he's convicted of first degree murder, he's gonna have to do 40 years before he sees parole. Absolutely not. That's not what it means. Just because he's convicted of first degree murder doesn't mean he's gonna get the extent of the law. That's not how Texas prison sentencing works.
Yeah.
There's no like 5 to 99. That's just saying that's the scope, that those are the boundaries of what he
He
could
could get.
potentially get.
Yeah.
So he could get 5 years. Whatever sentence he gets in Texas, that's what your parole will base off of. So if he gets 5 years, well, he's gonna have to do half of it before he sees parole. If he
Oh.
gets 20 years, he'll have to do half of it before he sees parole. I don't know why people keep talking about this 40. He will definitely, I promise you this, he's not gonna get a life sentence and he's not gonna get 99 years.
Yeah.
Without a
Yeah.
doubt. He ain't even gonna get 40 years.
Yeah.
So like I don't even think that we should even be like anybody should be talking about that.
And look, my condolences go out to all the family members and friends that had to deal with this. This is a very sensitive topic, and
Absolutely.
I've put myself into everybody's shoes, believe it or not. And man, I can only imagine how crazy of a scene and just it was. People were perplexed. People probably never even thought they'd ever see something like that in their life.
Especially
but
where that's at,
yeah, I mean,
it's a nice area of Dallas, like in the Dallas Metroplex area.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah. I'm sure you know plenty about it. I keep forgetting. You're from Texas. I keep forgetting.
You said no.
I remember in prison, but I keep forgetting about it when it comes to the streets. Let's talk about that for a second. How is that area? I mean, do you know a little bit about that area?
I know like that it's
It
like
is
a
nicer.
more upper class area.
Oh,
right?
okay.
It's not like the hoods of Dallas.
Uh huh.
So it's not like he's coming from the projects.
Well,
Where, and I even thinking about him having a knife in his backpack is like, what did you have a knife in your backpack for?
yeah, that is a little off to
Yeah.
me. But it was in his backpack, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it was literally for emergencies. Who knows?
Yeah.
Or because
I get
me,
it.
I had a knife in high school. I had a knife dangling from my belt buckle inside my jeans almost every day, right? And I was young. I was a kid, but that was because I had enemies from left and right, man. I'm talking about everywhere. And, I could just walk around freely with it without really being paranoid too much about going straight to damn Himtown for it,
Most
But,
definitely. I even had brass knuckles as my belt buckle.
but yeah, like someone that's really thinking that they're going to use it's going to keep it on them. They're not going to keep it so much in their book bag. It's almost as though he used it to scare people off. And I feel like this time he probably just did it and used it.
Yeah,
And
when you get heated, like
might even thought he was doing right.
Yeah, yeah. When you get heated in the moment, like there's no more thinking. Like that's even with a kid. Like the mind of a male doesn't even mature all the way till you're 25.
Oh
So
yeah,
if you
yeah,
become emotionally charged and your pride is out the roof in a situation, what's going to end up happening is violence is going to happen.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Something
yeah.
that you're going to regret later is going to happen.
Yeah,
And I work with young people all the time that are in the streets still. And I'm constantly having to try to pour into them about, give yourself 2 seconds, bro. Like, is it really worth it? You
yeah,
know, is it,
yeah,
is, don't make problems out of problems. So with Carmelo, again, I don't, I do not think for 1 second that he, um, expected this outcome.
yeah. And a lot of kids that go out there that end up doing something for very similar, go to prison, fight, and got stabbed someone one time. People need to realize, you see videos wherever, and there's these dudes getting shanked up 20, 30 times, and they're still walking or running out the block or something like that. But sometimes it just takes one bad pluck, right? And you're
That's
done
it.
for. So if you ever want to protect yourself, man, you better think 50 times before doing it, because that one slice could be the end of that person's life and yours, man. So
Don't let something
is it
that
worth
that
getting beat
costs
up a
you.
little bit, or it's
Yeah,
really, so but and then there's stories though that happen that just really blow my mind. There was a story that took place over here in Virginia where a dude was doing a prank on someone, and he ended up shooting him right point blank in the mall. I don't know if you remember hearing about that. It was pretty crazy, but dude beat it, and I couldn't believe he beat that. He was in
yeah.
fear of his life, and the only thing dude was doing was just following him, trying to prank him with the phone, and things like that make me say, man, it's a toss up in the courtroom these days.
Hey, man,
I'm seeing some
and
wild stuff where
yeah,
people are
yeah.
getting let loose or just slap on the wrist or severely smoked, and I'm like, wow,
Even here in Texas, it's a toss up. But this one, I will say this: like this is too popular, and this is too under too much scrutiny. That you got to think about what the judge is thinking, what the jury is going to be thinking. Anybody, like as the case progresses, like nobody's going to walk out of it scot free.
yeah,
I do not see that happening at all. Like there's absolutely no way. There's too much uh like families of the victim involved. Like nobody's gonna just walk scot free
yeah,
out of this. Even like take my own personal experience for example. What I did was an accident, right? But I still had to go to prison.
yeah,
Like you're not just gonna get out of this scot free,
yeah.
and nor should you expect it.
Do you think
And
the popularity will help him or hurt him
I definitely
in the courts? In the
yeah,
courts,
in the court side, do I think that the popularity is going to help him?
or hurt him?
I'm going to have to say that it really, yeah, it's going to help him. It's going to help him
Help
because
him. Okay,
yeah, it's going to help. I'm going to tell you why it's going to help him
I think so
because
too.
they're looking for red. Like this is a high profile case, so all
Eyes.
evidence and everything is being watched
Yeah,
very very closely.
yeah,
How you go about even reading a person their Miranda, like everything has to be done orderly and everything is under a microscope, so it's going to help him.
yeah.
He's going to get a fair
His due
trial, I
process,
can
huh?
assure that he's going to get a fair trial.
Yeah,
Like if nothing else about this case is going to happen, he will get a fair trial.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so well, let's roll into the next scenario. Do you think this would help him or hurt him in a prison aspect? Well, actually, no. Let's before we jump into prison, man, because this is something a lot of people are just like, and from what I've heard from people because I've interviewed other individuals, done time in Texas, and they've kind of said the similar thing about gang life out there, man. You don't have to speak too much on it, but if you can, is it so much gang related in Texas prison system?
Okay, so in the gang life in prison, um, typically you have to get down with your race.
Yeah,
Like you're gonna get down with your race. There's anomalies, there are definitely people I have a huge amount of respect for. Like if they still were stomped down, with their street gang and they got down there and stayed stomped down with it, like I got huge respect for them too. That goes both ways. But typically, you ride with your race. And even thinking about this, Carmelo, I heard a bunch of people were saying like, hey, the whites are going to be
Yeah.
trying to gun for him. Absolutely not. Like
Absolutely not.
let's set the record
Why are you
straight.
smiling a little bit? Boy?
Let's set the record straight.
Oh
Hey, I'm
no!
gonna set the record
Set the
straight. All
record
right, bro. All
straight, bro.
right.
Set it
I want
straight.
everybody to understand
This I'm looking
that
forward to this. I ain't lying.
white people are the minority in prison,
Mm-hmm.
especially in Texas. White people are the
Mm-hmm.
minority in prison.
They are.
And at the end of the day, they don't. That I promise you, everybody inside prison, the majority, and I'm not gonna say everybody because there's always anomalies, right? I never rule out an absolute. I'm gonna say there's always exceptions. There's people that are gonna feel about some type of way about the crime and everything, but they're not gonna act on it.
Uh-huh.
They're not gonna act on it because at the end of the
Talking
day,
about the white guys?
everybody, yeah, yeah, everybody knows that it's really not a race thing. Like
Yeah.
people are playing it out, and it's two kids that got into it, and one lost their life.
Yeah.
We know that. We're more concerned about pedophiles.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And
Yep. Yep.
they try to hide too. They're in protective custody.
Mm-hmm.
We're more concerned about them as opposed to two kids that we know that really got into it, and they were rival schools. Two high school kids. A kid made a mistake, and another kid's life was taken in the process.
Yeah. See how it
That
is.
at the
That's
end of
all
the day,
there
that's
is
what
to
it
it.
is.
You know?
Yeah, yeah. And so I don't like. He's probably when he goes down to prison, if and when he goes to prison, he's gonna be good. He's gonna go through the normal formalities of going to prison. Like
Well,
he's gonna get down there. If he's gang banging right now, he's gonna go down there and ride with his gang.
yeah.
He's gonna be with his gang. Everybody's got to go through the formalities of getting a heart
Well,
check.
if he's not, then what? His own people's gonna come his way, or what? Is it kind of like
Yeah,
how
yeah.
it goes in California? The cars and all
Yeah, yeah.
that.
The blacks are they're still gonna have his back at the end of the day.
Yeah.
They're gonna have his back. He's not gonna have these issues that everybody else is thinking about, and those that haven't gone to Texas prison can't speak on Texas prison.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the day, he will be fine
Yeah.
as long as he does right. If and when he goes to prison, if he goes down there with a right mentality, like, hey, you know what, I'm here. I'm gonna do everything I can to better myself while I'm in here. He will be just fine.
Yeah. See,
Yeah, and we could talk about that further. If you have questions.
yeah, I got a
Again,
couple. I got a couple
yeah,
more,
absolutely.
man. But just to paint a picture for people, when I was in prison, and this is not disrespect to anybody, in no way, shape, or form, but the white dudes in the prison system that I was in were the minority, and unfortunately, they were the ones getting taken advantage of more than anyone. I mean, I've very rarely seen anyone other than white guys being taken advantage of, walked all over, bullied, abused, jumped, robbed, extorted. I mean, you name it. There were some tough guys that rolled with some organizations as well. They were white, of course, anomalies here and there, and cool dudes that didn't get messed with, but they had no say-so in the prison system with moves and anything like that. Is it like that in Texas? I mean,
I mean, out of 100 units in the Texas prison system, there are some where um, white guys have more push. They got more pull. But when it comes to making shots and everything like that, I mean, I'm gonna be honest. Like it's hard. It's hard for a white dude on the yard.
yeah,
Like if you ain't stomped down, and me like I'm white, and it was hard on both sides because I had white people that didn't didn't agree with me that I'd have to get into it with, and I also had from all the other races.
yeah,
But if you're not stomped down, no matter what race you are, you will get handled.
yeah,
And extortion still happens in Texas.
yeah,
They may have made PREA and all that stuff, but extortion still happens. Uh, Violence still happens. Everything you can think about in prison that was known back in the day still happens.
yeah, yeah,
It's like even like I've had to watch dudes get turned down in prison.
yeah.
Like that got taken advantage of.
You think
And
something like that could possibly be coming his way?
do I feel like he's going to be taken advantage of? Personally, man, no, I
Yeah,
don't think so at all.
yeah,
And do I think he's going to have issues outside of The norm, no. Now, the what I will say is this: if he ever comes into contact with somebody of his victim, the victim of his crime, if he ever comes in contact with somebody that was his family, his friend that knew him, that cared about him, he is
Ain't no
gonna fight
stopping
about that.
that. Yeah.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If the dude or the victim's family or friends or whatever is stomped down, they're gonna see that. They're gonna
Yeah.
catch paper for
Yeah.
sure. If not more than that. You
Yeah.
know, like if a dude, like if it's one of his best friends, he's got to be ready for that.
Yeah.
But is it gonna get out of line? No, no. And I mean, even if Carmelo watches this thing himself, I'm gonna be straight up with you, bro. Like you're gonna be good.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
know that like this ain't the end for you. You know what I mean? Like this isn't gonna define your life.
Yeah.
You're gonna come out of this, and you're gonna there's a purpose behind this. Just
Yeah.
understand that. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And I
Yeah.
hate that somebody had to lose their life, but I know what it's like to be the person behind that has to be the villain.
Yeah. Yeah.
I get that so much, and I feel for him. I feel for both sides. Right? It's tragic, but I will say this: like you're gonna be all right, homeboy.
Yeah.
You're gonna be all right.
Do you think he would be catered to when it comes to housing? Throughout his time, if he were to go to prison, do you think they will put him somewhere more protected than somewhere else?
This is entirely up to him, honestly. So if he wanted to go to protective custody, all he's got to do is express that when he gets down there.
Really?
Yeah, when he goes to classification, he's like, "Hey,
Is
man,
this how it was
I'm
for anybody?
yeah, like if you want to like completely like catch that na na and say like,
Nah,
hey,
nah. What's that? Catch a nah, nah.
I'm in fear for my life. Like, there's no way that I can be here. Like, I need protection, all that stuff. They'll help, right? They
Really?
have a place for you. Yeah,
Wow.
they'll put you in PC. A lot of the pedophiles go over there, and they go to PC, and they have to be fed separately. They got to do everything separately. Um, but I don't believe that he's going to do that.
Yeah.
Like nobody wants to be labeled like, whatever jacket you wear when you come to prison, that is hard to shake. And so let's just say worst case scenario, he gets 40 years. If he goes in there saying that
Yeah. You don't want
he
that.
wants to be PC'd up, like his life in prison is going to be terrible.
Yeah.
Like nobody wants to have to live like that.
Yeah.
Nobody. And he's young, so he's
Yeah.
gonna want to,
Blend in.
have some type of normalcy
Yeah.
inside prison and be able to go to college, do all these things. He's gonna have these opportunities when he gets down
Mm-hmm.
there. If and when he gets down there,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. 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 How rare is this? Okay. I don't think I asked you this in the last interview. I can't recall, but since we're kind of talking about uh the politics a little bit in prison. How rare was it? Have you ever seen a white guy running with a black organization like a Blood, Crip, GD, anything like that in the Texas prison system?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Is
Yeah.
it a rarity
I
or
have,
is
man.
it
And they are
quite often?
it's definitely rare. It's
Yeah.
definitely rare. But when you do see them, they're stomped down. Like I'll always give them their card, man. Like I'll give them their G card, man, because it takes like you're gonna go under. Some people are gonna test that, but the ones that are stomped down, like I salute them.
Yeah.
Like my boy Tim Snow, he was stomped down.
Yeah.
With the crib, so I salute him for that.
Old
Like
Tim Snow.
and even on the same token, a lot of people forget that like Tango Blast. Uh, Individuals that which is the biggest prison gang in Texas on when it comes to Hispanics. Tango Blast, a lot of their members were street gang members before they came to prison. But when they come down to Texas prison, they get down because they have to get down with the race, but they typically get down with Tango Blast.
Yeah.
So they even have to basically denounce their old street gangs and get under the umbrella of Tango Blast.
Wow.
Because, and I will say, them, I've got great friends that are all Tango Blast, man, and well, they take their people down through there, but they are stomped down.
Yeah.
If a dude comes in there, if he's Hispanic and he's from Houston, he's gonna have to fade a heart check, and he's gonna get blessed in. So either you fight or you're gonna pay. It's one of
Yeah.
two things. You
Yeah.
fight or you're gonna pay.
Yeah.
They actually used
Well,
to have this saying. It was fight, fuck, or bust a 50.
yeah. Well, hey, look, you say you seen some dudes getting taken advantage of in a gruesome way. I mean, how does something like that play out in Texas prison? Same old way, probably
It's
anywhere else.
so we have a term in
What do they
Texas
call them?
prison.
Boot? What do they call them? Bandits out there, or
We
what?
call it, I mean, we call them booty bad, but we call them monsters, right?
Monsters. Oh
Individuals that
God.
prey, individuals that prey on the weak.
Uh huh.
Like they just love, they love to mess with them boys.
Mm-hmm.
And so when they see a young person down there that has no gang affiliation and he's trying to, skim on by, they will try to befriend them. It's,
The
like, hey,
friend
what's up, man?
technique.
Like, come over here. Uh, I'd like there's a youngster I knew, and he was probably like 20 years old. This is back on the Styles unit. The Styles unit in Beaumont is crazy, bro. Like the weirdest unit I've ever been on. There was a bunch of monsters on that unit that have been down for a whole bunch of time. Reminds me of the Booty Bandit Johnson.
Oh man, his
You know what I'm talking
stories are
about? Reese
just
Johnson. Yeah, yeah.
unreal,
Very similar.
bro.
Very, very similar. And how they'll take advantage of them.
Oh, you're breaking
They'll,
up. I think we
they'll
got
try to hey,
some.
bro, like,
Oh,
yeah, they'll
there
be
we
like,
go.
"Hey, come hang out with me, man. Come check me out. You good over there? You straight?" And a dude that's green is like, "Oh no, man, I don't have any food. You got something?" He's like, "Yeah, I'll take care of you, man. Don't worry, I'll take care of you." And they'll start to befriend him. And I told this youngster, I was like, "Hey, bro, that's a punk. That's a punk right there. He's don't mess with him." And he didn't want to listen. He's like, "Nah, Black's my friend." I'm like, "Nah, he ain't your friend, bro." So what'll end up happening is over time, continue to be their friend, and then one day it'll be like, "Hey, bro, you should move on the dorm with me. Like, what's your housing? Like, tell me what your housing is." And they'll if they can find out their name, their full name, and their housing, that monster will go to the line building, which is where they have classification and they rehouse individuals, and they'll pay like one of the trustees up there like X amount of money to hand this rehousing I-60 to
Moving
classification
right
and
to
get
their
that
hut, huh?
inmate moved right into his cell. And so
Mm.
once they're in the cell together, that's it. You know what I mean? Like it's game over.
Yeah.
It's game over, bro. If you don't know how to fight and you don't know how to defend yourself, like, bro, if you get moved in the cell with that dude, he's gonna take advantage of you one way, which way or another. Especially if you're a young kid and you like to use drugs still, and you're green as like bad things are gonna happen to you.
Man, look, just to jump back into your life, bro, I've been watching some of your skating videos.
Yeah,
You are talented, my friend. Look, I used to skate all the time. You still doing that on a regular basis? I see videos and stuff, but those are fresh and all that.
yeah, without a doubt. Matter of fact, as soon as we finish this interview, I'm gonna go skate.
Bro, do
Like
you
Thursday.
do any competitions or anything like win these
Yeah,
things? Because
yeah.
you're really good, man.
Well, I appreciate it, man, and I personally don't feel I'm really good compared to the rest of the
I can only
rollerblading community,
imagine.
but I
Yeah.
definitely I have a passion for it, and I'm gonna tell you like this, and this is what I talk to my mentees all the time. Like when I was a kid, the number one thing I wanted to do was be a pro skater.
Hmm.
That was my dream. That was my everything to me, and so I gave up on that for the life of the streets at a very young age. I wanted to be able to live like all the other kids and have the nice things. And so I chose to sell drugs,
Yeah.
at a very, very young age, which wound me up in trouble. And I so entered the criminal justice system at 12 years old. Uh, the worst thing that a kid could do is learn how to do time. While kids 12 years old are learning how to take tests, I was learning how to be in a gang and do time.
Yeah.
That that should not happen. And to feel oppressed at such a young age, it was like I had to really grow up.
Yeah.
And when you come out and you try to go back to regular school, what happens is you get marginalized immediately.
Hmm.
I done had an X on my back since I was, a little preteen.
Yeah.
And so it makes it hard. And now I just want to live up to that.
Yeah.
So giving up that dream and just falling victim to the street life, uh, when I got out of prison, I, you know, I talked with one of my mentors and he told me something crazy. Right. Very crazy. He's like, man, like, what'd you want to be when you were 13? I was like, man, I want to be a pro skater, man. I really like that was something I loved. I loved to skate. He's like, well, what would your 13-year-old self tell you right now? I was like, man, he'd be pretty messed up with me. He'd be like, man, what happened? Like, why'd you give up? And then he asked me a question. He said, Mikey, what would your future self say to you right now? And I had to think about it. I was like, he would be also upset with me because I'm not going to get a pair of skates right now. Like nothing's stopping me from
Hmm.
skating anymore except me. And I made me think about it. And as soon as I left, I went and purchased a pair of skates online. And when they came in, I went to roll around, thinking I could
Felt
throw
good,
down the way
huh?
I used to. I immediately ate shit. No, I, I went down the ramp thinking I was like, hey man, I'll be able to go down this vert. Like, man, I do this here. And so uh boom, felt that first pain. But it also felt really good to be on a pair of wheels and feel like I was 15 again, like I was 13 again. And my mom sent me a message. She's like, how does it feel to have your wings back? And she does not understand how profound that moment and saying that to me meant.
Yeah,
Because since then, I haven't let it go. And I continue to follow the dream and chase the dream that I lived when I was a kid.
yeah,
And I tell kids all the time, like, chase your dreams. That's what I care about. I want to know what you want to do if you didn't have any money and if you couldn't fail, what would you do with your life? Because that's what I want to help you do.
yeah,
And don't think that it's too late to the individuals that are older, that coming out of prison. Don't think that it's too late to follow your dreams. Don't let a motherfucker that gave up on their dreams talk you out of following yours
yeah,
ever in life. Not even me. Don't ever let somebody talk you out of your dreams.
yeah.
You can follow it.
On the positive side, man, I'm glad to see you out doing good, man. Married, 6 kids, man. Free,
Hey, oh
you
man,
can't beat
bro.
that. You
I
can't
wanted to tell
beat
you
going to
something.
walk in your fridge anytime you want, man. You can't beat it.
No, absolutely. The freedom to step outside when you want to. But I
Yeah,
wanted to
man.
tell you something, bro. Check this out.
Yeah, yeah.
I never told you
Uh
this.
huh.
But from the last interview that we had, there was a kid that went through a similar situation in my city. Um, he was dealing with that currently, right?
Uh
Like
huh.
he accidentally took one of his friend's life and he was being scrutinized behind it.
Yeah.
And he was looking up about like Texas and prison and being sentenced and all that. And he watched your video that we did together
Yeah.
and found a way to reach out to me, like either on TikTok or something. But he reached out to me and he was like, "Hey, I heard your story, man. I'm scared. I don't know what to do.
Wow.
Like, what?" Like, and I took him under my wing, and I really just poured into him. And he's out there now. Like he didn't end up having to go to prison.
Wow.
Here in Houston, he had to go to a little treatment facility called YMAC, and he was able to sign for some probation. But
Wow. You got
outside of
blessed.
that, like he's out here, he's taking care of business, and I'm very proud of him.
Yeah.
So if he watches this, and you know what, I'm gonna whenever this airs, I'm gonna send it to him
Yeah.
because
That's what's
I
up,
am proud
man.
of him too, man. But
Yeah,
that
man.
came from this interview, and if anybody out there, anybody, even Carmelo yourself, bro, if you have questions and concerns, bro, I'm gonna tell you, I'm a genuine person, and I only want the best for everybody. And so feel free to reach out. We have the Credible Messenger program out here in Houston. If you're in the north side of Houston, Texas, and you need help, bro, and you don't want to fall down that path, like reach out to us. Collective Action for Youth is the name of the company that I work for, and you can find us very easily.
Anything, any kind of shout outs or anything else you like to say before we close it out, man?
Absolutely, man. Of course, man. Shout out to you first. You know what I mean? Just
Yeah,
for
yeah, yeah.
always being supportive, and I support everything that you're doing. You're making a
Likewise, my
difference.
friend.
You
Likewise.
really are. Shout out to my wife for sure. That's my stomp down right there. That
Mine
baby.
too. Mine too.
That's yeah, stomp down and my kids. And of course the organization that I work for, Collective Action for Youth, and everybody that is out here taking care of business, trying to change the world one person at a time. And shout out to God, man. Couldn't do anything without him. So
That's right, man.
that's
All
about it,
glory be
bro.
to him. All times, my friend.